Hey, I'm Zoe, and this is the Relentless Reset. No formulas, no fixes, just short, honest reflections on navigating the messy middle of growth and becoming.
You may notice something different about today's episode, especially if you're watching on YouTube. For the first 10 episodes, it was just me, head and shoulders against a plain brick wall. And that wasn't an accident. Those early episodes were about deprogramming, sort of peeling away the layers of performance and conditioning. And the brick wall reflected that. Just the essentials, no decoration, no distractions. But now we're in a different phase, and integration is the next step. Because it's not just about realizing something, it's about inhabiting it. So for me, sitting here surrounded by my plants and all of this color and texture, this is me leaning into who I am. Not a blank slate, relentlessly me. And that's really what integration is. It's not just about the spark of a breakthrough. It's the steady tending that lets it grow strong enough to belong to the whole of who you are. When I first started bringing plants into my home, I just thought of them like decor. They're sort of pretty and sculptural and colorful. But they're not decorations. They are living things, and they need me to show up, to water and to weed and to repot. And when I don't, they wilt, and sometimes they die. And that's what breakthroughs are like. They are powerful seeds full of potential. But breakthroughs aren't permanent. The seed alone isn't enough. So if a breakthrough is like planting a seed, integration is tending it, watering and pruning and showing up day after day until it is strong enough to be held by the balance of the larger system. For some of you, it may help to think of it in another way, like training a muscle through repetition. But whatever the image, the principle is the same. A breakthrough is a seed, but without tending, integration, it'll never sprout. And just like in a garden, there are challenges. Sneaky little traps that creep in if you're not paying attention. The first one is the breakthrough high and the crash that follows. Breakthroughs feel incredible. That rush of clarity and energy is a dopamine hit. It is your brain's way of saying, hey, this matters. But here's the trap. Mistaking that spark for the whole fire. The high is fleeting. It's designed to get your attention. It is not designed to carry you all the way through. And when the spark fades or life pokes an old bruise, that crash hits. And suddenly you're back in an old pattern. It's jarring. It makes you wonder, wait, did that insight even matter? But the crash doesn't erase the breakthrough. It doesn't mean the insight was fake. It's just your nervous system doing what it knows best, defaulting to the familiar, because familiar feels safer than new, even when new is better for you. That's literally how your brain works. The pathways you've used for years are the fastest ones because you've used them over and over. But every repetition of the new choice makes that new pathway stronger. So here's the counter practice. Pause for 30 seconds, feet on the floor, an inhale, a longer exhale, and then ask, where is my attention right now? On the old growth or on the new seed? And secondly, anchor your why. Pick a mantra or a phrase or an image that re-triggers that breakthrough feeling. Something small enough to carry with you. Because the breakthrough tells you what's important, but it's the tending that makes it real. Now, the second trap we've talked about before, it's resistance. Sometimes your nervous system says, this new thing feels unsafe. But remember, when the body says this feels unsafe, that doesn't automatically mean bad. It's just caution. Your body is trying to protect you. In the same way, old growth, a weed isn't bad. It's just no longer serving you, which is why you weed it out. But that old growth has been in that soil for years. It doesn't just vanish after one pass at weeding. So here's the practice. Compassionate tending. When you notice tension or shutdown, soften into it. take a break. Wherever you are, notice one thing you can see, one thing you can hear, and one thing you can feel. Integration isn't a straight line. You will constantly be pulling out the old and tending to the new. And gentleness loosens that soil so the new roots can grow. Now, finally, we have the attention trap. And this one is two-headed. The first head is all or nothing thinking. And that sounds like, if this was real, it would all change overnight. Or, I should be further by now. This puts the attention on the end result rather than on the process, which is a very strong pull for my perfectionists out there. But that's just your brain chasing certainty, because certainty, again, feels safer. And just like plants, different truths have different growing seasons. Some will root very quickly, others take months, even years before they show progress. The trap is thinking you already know what the truth should grow into or how fast it should bloom. But growth doesn't follow a script. It is seasonal, it is cyclical. So instead of asking, why is this taking so long? Better question might be, what might this become if I keep tending it? That shift from judgment to curiosity keeps you open. It lets the truth take shape in its own time, in its own way, because it's going to do that anyway. Now, the other head is external validation, and it sounds like, I'll believe it when someone else notices. This puts your attention on other people's approval rather than your own noticing. Now, it feels good when others see it, but integration can't be outsourced. So instead, bring your attention back to the tiniest green shoots, the breath before reacting, or the one choice aligned with your values. Celebrate every win, no matter how small. Be unreasonably excited about them. Remember last episode when we talked about attention and power? Where your attention goes, your power follows. And it's the same here. When your attention is on perfection or other people, your power slips away. But when your attention is on your own progress, no matter how small, your power stays with you. I learned all of this the very hard way. About a decade ago, I faced some serious problems in my lower back. Turns out it was caused by weak glutes. Now, the breakthrough was realizing that was the problem. But the integration was showing up week after week to retrain that muscle group. Now, your glutes are part of every movement pattern you have, sitting, standing, walking. So my body kept defaulting to old patterns, and it was incredibly frustrating. But over time, with repetition and attention, my glutes got stronger and the pain went away. What once felt clunky and awkward became natural. That's why the practice matters more than the breakthrough. You are literally laying down new wiring in your brain, and it's the repetition that rewires you. That's integration. So, here's the reframe. Slipping back doesn't mean the breakthrough was fake. It doesn't mean the seed failed. It just means some old patterns have crept back in, and your nervous system is tugged towards what's familiar. That doesn't erase your progress. It's just part of tending a living garden. Pulling out the old, tending to the new. Because change doesn't stick like glue, it grows like a plant. Seasonal, cyclical, non-linear. Which means you can't force it and you can't predict it. Instead, you simply nurture it. Integration is what allows your breakthrough to become a balanced part of a larger system, supported by every other practice, every other piece of who you are. That's the reset. Not perfection, not permanence, not achievement. Practice. So, here's my invitation. Think of your breakthroughs as seeds. This week, where will you place your attention to help one grow? Because the seed matters, the soil does matter, but the tending, the patient, curious tending, that's what grows a life worth living. So, reset as many times as you need, and I'll see you next week.